presenting your host for the RaceCoin Podcast, Jay.
What's going on, everyone? I'm here with Mike Guasch, the CEO of Molecule Labs and the winner of the European Le Mans Series in 2016. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you've got a new documentary coming out, The Gentleman's Driver, and it's going out in theaters and all over the place now. So tell us about it. How's the reception been?
Well, it's just been launched in the UK only so far, and we've been getting great feedback from it so far. We do launch here globally, and we have the premiere here at the end of the month, January 31st. Is the first day with Netflix. So we did get it shot to get it licensed for streaming to Netflix. So we're really excited about that. I don't know. I think it's an Apple or something with in the UK. But so far so good. I mean, great response. Premiere looks like it's going to be great. We've got some good sponsors for the premiere. It's in Austin, Texas. And we're pretty excited about it. Very much so.
So tell us about it for those that don't know about what it's about. Can you just describe it a little bit and just give a little bit of a brief so that they can really know what the essence of it is?
Well, essentially, it's a documentary about four racing drivers, gentleman drivers in particular. Myself, Ricardo Gonzalez, Ed Brown, and God escapes me, the Canadian guy. So there's four of us. And then I was racing in the ELMS in 2016, right? And so we actually started this in 15, if you believe it or not. So 2015 is some of the first shots were done at COTA when we were first introduced to the concept. A guy came to me and we were racing at COTA in Austin, Texas. I was racing PC prototypes at the time, and that's what you want to be in a movie. Do you just kind of want to be part of this thing? I said, well, I don't know. I said, well, I'll tell you what, we have the cameras here. If you don't mind, let's roll. Let's do some interview, and if you want in, we want you, but we'll take it from there. So yeah, we started in 2015, and then in 2016 we went to the LMS, and they filmed most of what is on in the movie is from the 2016 championship.
Nice. I mean,
primarily it was done in at Silverstone, which was pretty cool because we ended up winning that race, which was nice to win.
Of course, just adds to it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure like that win comes after a long time of failures. And one of the quotes from the movie is, to succeed as an entrepreneur, you have to learn to fail, right? And
absolutely. I mean, my God, I've been racing since I was like 17 years old, right? I started in dirt track cars. I went into motocross. I raced jet skis for a number of years. I was fourth in the world in skis. I mean, I've done it all. But at 25, 30 years old, you start to realize you just can't really make a career out of this. It's pretty hard to make any money at it. So I started a bunch of businesses, and I've been kind of an entrepreneur all the way through. And then in around 2005, 2006, I said, look, I want to get back to racing. I've had a good career in business, so let's start racing. So I took a class and learned how to drive a car properly. And I thought I learned how to drive a car properly, but the first few years were pretty difficult. Yeah. It was, it's like, you got to learn to fail. It's absolutely, because I went out there and I got my ass kicked. I mean, I talk a bit about it in the video or in the movie, because at first few years were, I thought I knew it all. Oh my God, I've raced all this stuff. I could do this, and far more difficult than it looks. Far more difficult than it looks. So I failed for a number of years. Matter of fact, I went on a couple championships and I just pulled back. I just said, look, I can't do this. I'm not fast enough. I was dead last. I said, okay, I got to go back and learn the basics and start all over again. So pretty much a lot of years of grinding away, trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it sounds like a typical story of anyone who's ever succeeded at anything, right? It's just having to learn from your mistakes and actually pull through at times where you just feel like there's no way I can go on, or there's no way I can come out of this, right? And as a CEO of a huge company now, of your Molecule Labs, what's that journey been like in relevance to and in parallel to driving? What kind of similarities can you bring about from there?
Well, it's pretty much the same thing, because you basically just got to fight. I mean, it's a fight all the time. Nothing's easy, right? So in business, it's the same thing. You've got to, this is probably my 10th business I've owned over the last, 20 years. And you have wins and you have failures. I mean, there's no question about it. And you just got to keep digging and digging and digging. Every day it's a grind. In business, I was here over the weekend because we've got big customers coming in this week. So I'm, basically prepping the offices, prepping the staff, getting everything ready for these meetings. Same thing, getting ready for a race. I mean, you're just training and eating well and preparing. So I love racing because it is such a discipline, right? And it's very much similar to business. You've got to be disciplined and you just got to work your ass off.
Yeah, and clearly it's been paying off in the latter stages as well. And what kind of role has that played? So what I'm really asking is, now that you've got these victories under your belt, compared to if you got those when you were like 25, how much of a difference has that made in terms of your perception of what that victory means?
Well, when you're in your 20s and you're winning a bunch of races and you're, more on a local stage. I mean, California. I live in California, Northern California, near San Francisco. So I raced up and down the state of California, which is obviously almost its own country in itself. It's big enough. So the competition's pretty high. So to win local or regional racing in the U.S. was good as in jet skis and in motocross. But then when you get into racing cars, you start running nationally, right? So I started running all over the United States. And those wins are a lot more, they're a lot more enjoyable to win a big national race for sure. And then in business, as my business has grown, now we've become international. So we have an international company. Now I'm racing internationally. I've spent 3 years racing in Europe. I started in 2010 in Europe. And then I've done 3 years over there, and I expect to go back again this year. So yeah, as far as the parallels to business, I mean, God, it is a business in itself, right? Racing is a business. Business is a business. So you've just got to keep pushing.
You've mentioned got to keep pushing quite a few times already. Where is it all coming from? Where's the drive? Where is the passion behind it stemming from?
That's a great question, because sometimes I wonder myself, where is this, what gets me up in the morning? What makes me do this? But it's funny because I do say this in the movie also, where racing is what drives me more so than business. Business is almost like a means to an end, right? I mean, you want to run your business because that's what you need to do to make a living, to support your family, do everything you want to do and when you retire. But racing is is really the true motivation. So I get up in the morning, I want to work out, I want to eat well, and without that, I end up getting lazy, right? So I need to be racing. And if I'm not racing, then I end up I'll work my ass off, but I don't feel like it's not as enjoyable. Let's put it that way. So you're working so you can afford the time and to race, because that's really what's fun.
Yeah, and that's where the enjoyment lies, and that's what makes you tick, I guess. You mentioned one word in there about retirement. You're now 60 years old, so is retirement in the plan, or is it something you're going to avoid and push back and just keep racing until you can?
Well, I mean, it's really funny because back in 2008, about 8 years ago, when I really started pushing and I went to Europe in 2010, was I had sold one of my businesses, my primary business at the time, and I thought I had retired. That was.
I keep trying to leave, and they keep pulling me back in.
so I sold the business. I made some money, and I was able to have time and money. That's the funny thing about racing is, like, to do it properly, you need time and money. A lot of people have one or the other, but to have both is really, really difficult, right? So you almost, you have to be able to train and work. So I'm looking forward to retiring at some point in time in my companies, so I go back to racing full time. I mean, literally training all day long, practicing all day, once or twice a week, and then you can then take it to the next level. So that's when I first went to Europe. That's what I did. I actually lived there for, like 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and then I would travel back and forth. But when I was there, I was my mind was free enough to just train. I'd sit in the gym, I'd stay at a hotel, and I'd practice every day or train every day. So when you're at home, you're distracted with business and everything else. So if you can get rid of all that stuff, then you can be full time. I mean, I'm really jealous of pros who basically do it full time, but I'm not jealous of them in another way, is that they generally don't have any money. So, they're making a little bit of money, but it's like, my God, they're going from paycheck to paycheck, get ride to ride. Yeah. I happen to be able to afford to live well and then practice and train. So
you've mentioned training quite a few times. What is training to you in terms of a typical week? What does it really entail?
Well, I mean, I'm big in the gym. You know, I love the gym. So I have a gym at home, full blown. I put out a couple of videos about my training. There's a little bit about my training in the movie also. I've got a trainer. I've got a full gym with every tool you would ever imagine for racing. I've got simulators. I've got, you know, cardio machines. I've got all the weights and everything else. But yeah, I get up. I hit the gym. I do weights. I do cardio. I do a lot of neck work. You know, you need for racing. And at my age, obviously, I got to out train the other guys. You know, the young kids at 25, they don't do anything. They just go out and go fast. So I have to go.
Yeah.
You know, I got to work a lot harder. And but you know, that's okay. I don't mind. I enjoy it. I've been doing it all my life.
Throughout all the things that you've done, worked on, and achieved, what has been the most important to you?
I mean, look, racing and business are all fine, but you know, I'm married. I've been married for 22 years. I've got a great wife. I've got a couple great kids. So, I mean, I got to say that, you know, besides racing and business, it's really having a great family, right? So my wife is super cool. She enjoys racing. She's a sports freak. So
Oh, awesome.
she's gone to my races. My kids have gone to my races. When I won the Daytona 24, my wife and my daughter were both there. They stayed up all night long and enjoyed the victory with us.
Wow.
So
That's the dream.
you know,
I mean, like it could not, it sounds
no, it doesn't get any better. My daughter's now 19, but she can go to the race. We have to get her phony ID when she was younger. She's 16. I could pretend she's 18 so she could get in the pits.
yeah.
But, you know, winning a lot of races and for them to show up and watch and be part of it or watch me on TV, that's pretty cool.
How did you initially, like very early on, get into it? Like what can you say to try and help those people out there who don't know what is the best way to have what you currently have and be able to even have the time and money or both to be able to actually pursue their dream in this sense?
Well, I mean, look, I've had a lot of businesses and, like I said, a lot of successes and a lot of failures. And you just got to keep digging in and trying to find those wins. But I would say the biggest learning I've had in business and in racing is just focus, right? You need to, and I'm the worst at that. I'm so ADD. I mean, there's no one I could never work for anyone ever. I'm just all over the place. I'm just too damn hyper. So, but with that said, I got to be focused. And that's been the hardest thing for me, is to focus on one thing at a time. So what I try to do is don't get caught up in trying to train 15 different ways to train a certain way just for racing. So don't waste my time working on things that don't make sense, right? So I always got to keep in my mind, what's the next race? What's the next big deal I'm working on, whatever, and just focus on that. Don't get distracted and off running around doing things that aren't getting you to a certain goal. So set your goal, whatever it may be, and always be pursuing whatever decisions you make need to be towards that goal. And I learned that a long time ago, and it's easy to say, it's hard in practice, right? Because, let's go do this, let's go do that. No. What's going to get me better for that race? What's going to get me better for that new business or deal I'm making? And just be very disciplined in your decision.
Discipline, yeah.
People make a lot of bad choices, right? It's all about choices. You got all these choices. I could go do this, especially once you have money and time. I can go do anything I want. I can go fly airplanes, jump out of airplanes. I could go do whatever the hell I want to do. But if I get caught up in doing too many things, I'm not focusing on any one thing, and I'm never going to do it really well. So one of the things for racing in particular, I mean, all my teammates, all my team managers said, Mike, we really like working with you because you're so focused and you're so dedicated. And I'm there on time. I'm practicing, I'm prepping, I'm prepared. Without all that, you're just kind of floundering. You know, really got to focus.
Yeah, and I think you just mentioned it right there with the word discipline. You know, it has to be an amalgamation of so many traits in terms of focus, in terms of discipline, in terms of picking yourself up when you failed so many times, as you've said. With what was it, 10 businesses in the last 20 years? That's clearly there's got to be a lot.
And some of them great, some of them failures, but most of them I've either made and then sold, or just traded out and got into something else. So my biggest problem, if I've had one over the years, is just kind of picking what the hell I'm going to do. And I look back over the last 20 years, I spent so much time screwing around with little stupid businesses that I thought would be fun. And then I get them started and I go, what am I doing? I mean, I started a surf shop, right? I live in California. So I'm going to get in the surf business, right? This is fun, right? Open a surf shop. And then I worked there one day. I spent 6 months building this thing. I worked there one day and I have these kids coming up to me buying surfboards and wetsuits. And I'm going, what the hell am I doing?
What did I just do?
It's the most stupid thing I've ever thought of, right? It sounds cool, but it's not cool, right? So I gotta really think your decisions through.
Yeah, but I guess it's another testament to character to be able to say, do you know what? Even though I did spend 6 months doing this, I'm not just going to stay here because I spent 6 months doing it. You know?
No. I sold that to my partner. I sold out to my partner and I went off and did something else. But
yeah,
it's hard, when you don't know really what you want to do and you have all these choices. So you've got to pick them.
So 2019, what's the plan and where can we expect to see you racing?
Yeah, no. So if you go back through my career, I started in 2008. I mean, I won some championships in 2009, went to Europe for 2010 and 2011.
2011, yeah.
2013, I won the American Le Mans Championship here in the Prototype Challenge class, then took a year off on business. So my thing is I kind of take a year off and I race a year, take a year off because your business suffers when you're gone that much. I mean, in 16, I have 15 trips to Europe, right? So you're there, 15 times and it's really hard. So this last year I took off. We started in 17 in P2 here in Europe or in the United States, but the car didn't work out. So I basically took all last year off and go-karted and prepared for 19 right now. So for 19, I'm really working on deals here to get back to Europe and do the ELMS again.
Awesome. Sounds great. Can't wait to see more of you in action. Yeah. And it's been a pleasure having you on the RaceCoin podcast.
All right, buddy.